Hey there guys, welcome to the channel. It's Avidexpert and I'm going to be talking to you about another Resident Evil and Capcom related controversy and issue, and this entire leak and everything about it lately. There are a lot of topics that need to be discussed right now, and I think we need to clarify some things. I wanted to make this video to try to calm people down, and the first thing I want to talk about is the leaks themselves, because of course I did say opinion soon and I'm going to talk about this. Now first off, this is from 4chan and it's unsourced, so of course I've seen a lot of people taking this as authentic, but rarely there is a time when you get a leak and it turns out everything in it was true, or at least a high amount of it. But I do want to discuss that part because I want to hypothesize now. Let's just imagine, for the sake of argument, that this leak is completely valid. As you can see at the bottom, there is actually a late 2018 target release date. A lot of people currently are worried and very stressed, of course, over the removal of Hunk, Tofu, other cuts from the game, and they're very much wondering with the over-the-shoulder camera view whether this is going to live up to the original promise of it being made just for the fans, and that was announced in the original video. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about is the fact that there is an over-the-shoulder camera view. Now the leaks have said this, and of course again I'm going to reiterate that you should take these leaks with a grain of salt. However, there's something interesting here, because I think we can speculate very much that over-the-shoulder camera view will actually find its way into the game. So I'm going to talk about Resident Evil 4 for a start here, just to kind of get the ball rolling. Now Resident Evil 4 was an absolutely astonishing masterpiece. There are so many different things that you could discuss and talk about as to why Resident Evil 4 was so perfect. There are many iterations and changes they made from the previous trilogy that revamped the entire gameplay structure from the foundation up. You could say that Resident Evil 4 was actually a huge Russian roulette gamble and a huge payoff because of it. But the big change I want to focus on today, and this is the one that is going to inevitably lead to me thinking that Remake 2 may contain OTS, is the fact that we got third-person over-the-shoulder camera view in Resident Evil 4. This was the biggest change for everyone at the time. The first trilogy, of course, was all in fixed camera angle perspectives. However, now you had complete free control, and you could look up into the sky, you could look around all of the environments, and you had full 360-degree control over the camera itself and the player. This enhanced the immersion, perception, combat. Everything was made more fluid. You can't really deny there were many frustrations with the old fixed camera angle perception when you would run into a room, but because of the camera view change you would just run back and you'd actually exit the room you just ran into instantly and you'd need to run back into the door. The amount of times that actually happened to me, and it frustrated the fuck out of me, and I'm sure many of you must have gone through very similar moments, and when I said that, it must have triggered some sort of memories. Actually leave a comment if any of that frustrating camera angle bullshit happened with you guys too. I do want to read about those. Now Resident Evil 4, as I said, with its switched camera view, completely got rid of all of these issues and brought the game up to a very modernized standard. Resident Evil 5 and 6 did continue this trend, however they wanted to try and change it again and innovate during 7, and they switched it to first person view. Now don't get me wrong, I know the FPS view is controversial, but I still think mechanically it works and there's no denying that. You can aim quite fluidly in the game, movement is fine, you can navigate, and your perception's quite high. However, fixed camera angle just has all those weird little annoying irritations and glitches associated with it, movement errors and things, and this is why I think, looking at the success of the first person and third person camera and how it enhances the fluidity of the mechanics, they're probably gonna go with that design in Resident Evil 2 just for the sake of the fact that it's a really good modernization, and to me it's the best innovation they made to the series overall. I would absolutely love the freedom of choice to be a thing, and it would be amazing if Capcom could innovate and make fixed camera angles and third-person perception work as a toggleable choice like Skyrim for example, maybe even throw FPS in there as well. However, I just don't see this happening, and I do think OTS is going to happen, and if it does happen guys, I think we should embrace it because it really is the way forward. However, I do want to say this is a leak that's from 4chan. That doesn't confirm OTS guys, it could still be fixed camera angles, so stop giving Capcom all this flack over this to be honest, because we don't actually know. Imagine when they do the announcement, it finally comes out with some gameplay and it's in fixed camera angles, how embarrassed are we all gonna feel if we decided to ride some big train about it being OTS anyway. But I think if it does turn out to be OTS, we should embrace it just like we did in 4. I know that Resident Evil 2 is a beautiful project and it's in so many people's hearts that they just want it in their perfect desire, but with desires and dreams, it hardly ever happens the way you truly want it to. Resident Evil 1 was kind of an oddity with how they achieved it so well for so many people, but with Resident Evil 2 and how large the environment is and the narrative compared, I'm just not sure if they're going to be able to achieve that. But there's one other point I do want to talk about on this topic. Now remember the Remake 2 fan project, the one that was done by what is now Invader Studios? That was actually all done in third person and everybody loved it. There was no negative criticisms or reactions about it. The project was absolutely adored. Many people actually gave Capcom a bunch of fan backlash because they DMCA'd the project and then announced Remake 2 themselves. I want to say Invader Studios was apparently consulted, or so I've read, and they talked to Capcom afterwards, but even if that wasn't true, Capcom would have definitely seen the success of Remake 2 being in third person and how well that was received and taken note of it. Just try to keep that in mind. Now with the other leaks, I would actually be disappointed if the Hunt campaign has been removed and would be placed for DLC later on. I do think this is quite unfair considering that the original project contained it. That's also true for Tofu as well. I just feel like these things aren't the way the industry should be moving forward, and that everything should be in the base game. I was actually very supportive, and I still am though, of Capcom's model where they release additional DLC costume pieces for a small microtransaction price. I think that's a good compromise between supporting the developer and shady corporate tactics. But again, I don't want to put too much faith into these things because of the source, but I'm just saying hypothetically if it did turn out to be true, I'd just be a little bit disappointed in that one. That's just kind of shady. However, the Ada campaign being extended and having a diversity of weapons available to you, and it just reminds me of the Resident Evil 4 Ada campaign once again. Imagine it being very similar to that, being able to like grapple hook up to specific roofs in Raccoon City. That would be absolutely epic. So maybe they would be able to make up for some of the losses if they modernized it and changed it in other ways. Now for the revamp of the city, I would actually be really looking forward to this. I was actually saying that I want Raccoon City vastly redesigned anyway. I think this is a great thing to do to change the entire environment up, put speedrunners into uncomfortable territory, make us all forget how to navigate through the environment, or just make entire new environment pieces we also have to traverse through. I don't even know if anyone feels weird about that one because I've not seen it brought up actually in the criticism, so I'm kind of assuming everybody feels okay with that change, and so I think we can all just embrace it. That's a good one. We did get that in the Remake 1 with the enhanced cutscenes and areas, and everybody appreciated it, so I think we should apply the same mentality. There is something I do want to talk about before I end my video though. I've been seeing a lot of arguments and opinions, but people, there is civil discourse, and honestly, think about back in Resident Evil 2's time. Try to remember when you first played that. Back when there was no Facebook, there was no Twitter, there was none of this social media. Back when you had to like buy an actual gaming magazine to figure out how to get past the stupid puzzles that you couldn't solve. We would have absolutely died for all this social media exchange of opinions. And I remember when the internet first started forming and gaming communities were coming together, there was very much a symbology of unity everywhere. everyone was helping each other out, talking to each other. Everyone was enthralled with the fact they could share opinions, ideas, and all of this stuff, speculate things, and now everyone's just so hostile to it all. Everyone's so reactionary and emotional, and to a degree I do understand it, especially when somebody else is reactionary and hostile. It baits you into it as well. But I just want to say, we're a beautiful community, and I've seen so many amazing conversations, debates, friendly discussions, theories that get expanded upon. People have corrected me in very constructive ways and helped me get closer to the truth of the plot of Resident Evil 7. There were so many beautiful times, guys, and this community, the Capcom community, is absolutely beautiful compared to, like, say, the PUBG community that's just spouting Nuke China and all that crap right now. This is beautiful, and I want to say, let's not forget all the amazing times we've been through throughout the entire duration of this franchise, which has been over 20 freaking years. We've been through a lot together, guys, and we should appreciate that, I think. And even if we do disagree with each other, try to find some common ground and just appreciate the fact that the other person is like you and just wants to be listened to. That's just what it comes down to at the end of the day, to be honest. It just comes down to the fact that everyone wants to be listened to. They want to be validated, and you should in some sense be able to reflect that that's what you want and be able to understand that that's the feeling the opposition has, and just come to some kind of compromise. And even if you have to agree to disagree, you can do that in a very civil way, and I just think that's the way the community should go. Just take a breather and remember the good times. Anyway, I hope you had a beautiful day as always, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a subscribe. Take it easy, and peace.